Hello everyone. So today we are discussing about types of rays, modes, phase and group velocities, cylindrical fibers and fiber profiles. So these are the topics what we discussed today. Then before that we have some numericals which can be solved for finding the critical angle, finding the numerical aperture and finding the acceptance angle. So this is the problem definition given, and based on that I will take the data considering the refractive index given as 1.5, so n1 is 1.5 and the cladding refractive index which is n2 1.47. So using these two data n1 and n2 I have to find the critical angle at the core cladding interface. That is the first thing what has to be determined. Second thing is the numerical aperture for the fiber. Third is the acceptance angle in air for the fiber. So the critical angle is given by sine inverse of n2 by n1. n2 is given as 1.47, n1 is given as 1.45, 1.50. So just replace it and substitute it, find the critical angle. It is in degrees, so it will be 78.5 degrees. Similarly, we know that the numerical aperture equation stands out to be n1 square minus n2 square to the power half. So which is equal to 1.5 square minus 1.47 square, which is equal to zero point 0.3. So this gives me the second numerical aperture. Third one, the acceptance angle. Acceptance angle is given by sine inverse of numerical aperture. So numerical aperture is already calculated and it is found to be zero point 0.3. So it is sine inverse of 0.3 giving us 17.4 degrees. Then coming to the next example, we have to determine the critical angle and the solid angle or solid acceptance angle of the fiber. So numerical aperture is given as n1 into 2 delta to the power half, where delta is given as 0.01, which is 1%. So 1% can be changed to 1 by 100. So it is 0.01. So I just replace that by 0.01. So after substitution, I'll get the numerical aperture value and it is found to be 0.21. Similarly, we have another equation which has to be noted for finding the solid acceptance angle, which is equal to pi into theta a square. So this gives me the solid acceptance angle. So which is represented as zeta. So I'll just replace it by pi into sine square of theta a. So we know that sine of particular angle is nothing but the numerical aperture. So I just substitute that pi into numerical aperture square. So that is pi into 0.04. So square of 0.2 will give me 0.04, which is giving me 0.13 radian. So this is the solid acceptance angle for the fiber in air. Then finding the critical angle for the same. So in order to find the critical angle, I require n2 and n1. But here in this problem, we just know what is delta and relation between numerical aperture and delta. So based on that equation, you can substitute for n2 by n1 equal to 1 minus delta. So 1 minus 0.01 will be 0.99. So ratio which is n2 by n1 is given as 0.99. So there is no requirement of finding separately n2 and n1. So I can directly substitute n2 by n1 ratio is as 0.99. So sine inverse of 0.99 will give me 81.9 degrees. So this will be the critical angle of the fiber. The next example, an optical fiber in air has a numerical aperture of 0.4. So numerical aperture value is given as zero point 0.4. Compare the acceptance angle for the meridional rays with that of a skew rays, which change the direction by 100 degree at each reflection. So here theta A is the acceptance angle defined as sine inverse of numerical aperture, which is equal to sine inverse of 0.4, giving us 23.6 degrees. Then we have types of rays. So earlier we have discussed just some optical rays which are propagating in a fiber, and if one single ray is propagating, we consider it as single mode, and if multiple rays are propagating, we term it as multi-mode operation or multi-mode propagation. So now we just look into the types of rays which can propagate into the optical fiber, and based on the propagation in a fiber, we discuss the difference among these optical rays. So if the rays are launched within the core of the acceptance, it can be easily propagated or successfully propagated, or what we call it as efficient propagation. It can be done along the fiber. But the exact path of the ray is determined by the position and angle. So that has to be known. So path of the optical ray is determined only by the position and the angle which strikes the core. So that is what we have to consider in identifying the position and angle of a ray. So depending on this, we have three different types of rays which can be used in an optical fiber. But due to some drawbacks or limitations, we are able to use only two types of optical rays. So here we consider three different optical rays. One is skew rays, meridional ray, and axial ray. So these are the three rays which are used in the optical fiber. Then here we can see that this is an optical fiber, and these are the skew rays which are propagating in a fiber. And we can see that this is the path it takes. So it is not just reflecting onto a single surface, instead it is going to reflect many surfaces onto many surfaces. So we can see that one at particular point 1 it is reflecting, point 2 it is again getting reflected, point 3 reflection, point 4 reflection, and point 1. So if I consider this path which is traversed by the optical ray, the time taken by the optical ray to reach this particular fiber output will be more. And due to this improper, or what we call it as helical or zigzag path, which is it is not actually a zigzag path, but it is like some sort of helical ray or helical path. So if this helical path is traced, then that leads to the information which may be lost due to multiple reflections in the fiber core. Then we have meridional ray which always crosses the fiber axis, which cross the fiber axis. So this is the internal reflection, total internal reflection happening in a fiber core. So you can see that one reflection is happening, again here reflection, again here reflection. So it continues throughout the length of the fiber. So this is the most efficient one in terms of rays if I consider an optical fiber efficient propagation process. Then axial rays. So if I consider the axial ray, it is a single ray which is propagating along the fiber core axis. It is just passing the fiber core axis. It is neither performing any sort of reflection. So here we can say that this is zigzag. This is a straight path. So due to the straight direction, one direction, which is propagating in a single direction in straight path, the information transferred will be very fast. There is no delay because it doesn't undergo any reflection. So this is the advantage of an axial ray over a meridional ray. But since this skew rays do not cross the fiber axis, it is very difficult to use this in the optical fiber. Then we have modes in a planar waveguide. So modes are nothing but the number of waves which are guided into the medium. So the planar guide is the most simplest form of optical waveguide. So if I consider the modes in a planar waveguide, there exist two components. There exist two components. One is x component towards x direction, z component towards z direction, and we denote it as beta z, considering the phase propagation constant in the z direction, which is beta z. Similarly, the phase component propagation constant in the x direction is denoted as beta x. So beta z will be equal to n1 into k cos theta. Beta x is equal to n1 into k sin theta. So one is cos component, one is sine component. One is horizontal component, one is vertical component. So here we can see that this is the horizontal component. This is horizontal component. This is vertical component. So sine and cos. So this is how the reflection of the optical rays takes place in a fiber, and this is the electric field formed in an optical fiber. So these are the number of guided modes in an optical fiber. So this based on the number of reflections which take part in an optical fiber core. Similarly, here we can see that the value of m is 1. M represents the number of modes in a fiber, number of modes which are guided in a fiber. So considering m is equal to 1, it means that only one optical ray exhibiting a reflection at one particular point, one mode. Here we can say m is equal to 2. Here we see that there are two modes which are considered. Here there are only one mode which are considered. So here we represent it as TE1, transverse electromagnetic TE1. Here again TE2, transverse electromagnetic 2. So because this represents two modes. Here we consider T is equal to 3. So this is the path traced by the optical ray forming TE3. But whenever we look into this three optical rays, as the number of modes are increased, the optical ray is entering into the cladding surface, or what we call it as penetrated into the cladding surface. So here we can see that cladding penetration. So here the cladding penetration is lesser. Here the cladding penetration is more. You can see that in the diagram. As the number of modes increases, the cladding penetration is going to increase. Whenever the optical ray penetrates into the optical fiber cladding, it results in loss. It results in loss. Then, phase and group velocity. So whenever I say velocity of an optical signal or a light ray which is in a propagating in a fiber, I look into two factors. One is phase and one is velocity. So if I consider the optical rays which are propagating in groups, that is multimode propagation, I can easily say that there is a group velocity of these optical rays, and with different phases or with the same phase. So as the light wave propagates along a waveguide in a z direction, these points of constant phase travel at a velocity is given by this omega by beta. Omega is the angular frequency of the optical signal or the wave, and beta is the propagation constant. So the velocity is based on the frequency and the propagation constant. So these are just the definitions what we have to understand. So these waves are formed due to the combination of two waves of different frequency components propagating together. So that is what it has a group velocity. It means that they are going to propagate in an optical fiber with different phase and slightly different frequency components or different frequencies. So this is what we discuss in this particular phase and group velocity. Now, the wave packet doesn't travel at a phase velocity of the individual wave, but it is moving at a group velocity which is given by this small change in omega and small change in beta. So a small change in omega or a small change in beta changes the group velocity of the optical wave or the optical ray. So This is what we understood from this equation. As there is any small change in the frequency or the propagation, it affects the velocity. Which velocity? It is group velocity because we consider the optical rays in groups. They are propagating in groups. Then we have cylindrical fibers. So very simple one. So in common with the planar waveguide, so TE transverse electric and transverse magnetic, where Ez component is 0. We say that it is transverse electric. So electric field perpendicular to the direction of propagation. So if this electric field is formed to the direction of perpendicular to the direction of propagation, it means that Ez is 0. And if I say that the electric field formed is in the direction of propagation, then Hz is 0, transverse magnetic. And these two are obtained within the dielectric cylinder. Within the dielectric cylinder. So the cylindrical waveguide is bounded in two dimensions. This we have to know. And we refer to TE and TM modes. And these modes always correspond to meridional rays traveling within the optical fiber. So this is how the propagation is considered in a fiber core. So here if it is transverse electric, transverse magnetic, and here again for different parts in the optical fiber. So LP is nothing but linear polarization concept used. Okay, so this is what we discuss in a cylinder. So with the fiber profiles we consider here, just to classify the fibers. So fiber is characterized by its profile and by its core and cladding diameter. So this is what we consider the characterization by its profile. So one way of classifying the fiber cables is according to the index profile at a fiber. So this is where we are going to classify the fiber based on this index profile. So the index profile is a graphical representation of a value of the refractive index across the core diameter. So this is used to classify the fiber based on the index profile. So the index profile is a graphical representation of a value of refractive index. It is just a value, it is a graphical representation based on which we can classify a fiber. So there are two basic types of index profiles defined. One is step index fiber, one is graded index fiber. So here you can see that this is a step index. Since the shape of this fiber core we represent the step, we consider it as step index fiber. And this the refractive index is going to be different or changing from core to cladding surface. We consider it as a graded index fiber. Here it is constant. The refractive index is constant in this case, whereas it changes in this case. Then, so this is how the structure of the fiber profile of the optical fiber, which is a step index fiber, is considered to be. So this is the core, this is the cladding, and this is the outer rear medium, which is N0. So N1 is the refractive index of core, N2 is the refractive index of cladding, and this is the condition to be satisfied where N1 is greater than N2. And this is the fiber core axis where the optical ray is propagating along the fiber core axis. If it is a single mode or if it is multi-mode, it is going to exhibit total internal reflection throughout the fiber. So this is a cross-sectional view of an optical fiber, which is the step index fiber. So here we can see that the refractive index of this fiber is constant in the core, constant throughout the core medium. So here we can see that. So this is the fiber core, and this is the fiber core in this case. And if it is single mode fiber, the size of the core diameter is smaller compared to the fiber core diameter of the multi-mode fiber. And in a single mode fiber, only one optical ray is being propagated. Here in the multi-mode fiber, you can see that multiple optical rays are propagating. So this is how the multi-mode and single mode fibers are concept. And the core typically has a diameter of 50 to 80 micrometer. So this is a core diameter of the fiber, which is a step index fiber. And the cladding also have a diameter of 125 micrometer. So this is different for a different type of fibers. And the refractive index profile is already defined as n of r equal to n1, where r is less than a. R represents the radius of the emitting surface. R represents the radius of the emitting surface, or what we call it as radial distance from core towards cladding. So that is what we define, radial distance of core from core towards cladding. And n of r is equal to n2 when r is greater than or equal to a, which is cladding. It means that it is a radial distance from core to cladding. So in that case, r is very much lesser than a for n2, and r is lesser than a for n1. So this is how we define the step index fiber related to single mode operation and multi-mode operations. And this is the equation which describes the refractive index profile of a step index fiber. And the core diameter of this single mode fiber is normally 50 to 80 micrometer with a core diameter, and a cladding diameter of 125 micrometers. So this is about these topics. Total internal reflection and the fiber profiles and numericals and the number of modes, phase and group velocities, etc. So these were the things we have discussed.